And then there's this little moment of nothing. Maybe that's really the essence of open space. It's just nothing. The mu, the Japanese used to call it, the Zen guys. Mu. Space. And then I think we are pretty confused in the world right now. I'll be blunt, because I think we are training to be real here. We are caught up in too many. We're breathing out all the time. Let's act, act, act. But what actions are we involved in that we would be proud of in 25 years when we are the ones that's about to go and our grandchildren is taking care of us? So this has helped me be more, and I think, working with Michael and the Institute here, I think some of the investigations we have done together over those 10 years has really been, how do we act wisely? Action needs to take place, but could it be wise? And this pattern has helped me be discriminative about it, and also to dare hold processes in very alienated, where people actually think they're enemies. And they may even come from peoples that have killed each other. And so that's a little bit of framing. So what is it about? We can use the example from yesterday. So there's something that diverges. As we divergence, you could call this. You could call this emergence. And you could call this convergence. This is more like professional lingo. The womb gets pregnant, it opens up, something happens in there for 9 months, and then or it takes maybe 14 hours to come out. Some of you ladies know more about that than me, but I have heard about it. It is hearsay to me, but anyway. So I can see this process happening everywhere. And when you begin to get it, it makes things more simple. You see the natural flow of things. So bringing 130 people together in a cafe and asking the question, why the hell did you show up here? And what do you expect? Before I knew these methodologies, the container of this, it would be completely scary to me. Still remember being so scared to speak to people I didn't know when I was young. And now I work with groups of 800 people for 3 or 4 days in all kinds of contexts, from government to business to, I don't care, because it's just natural. So divergence happens when you ask, you have a purpose, you have a need, you have a purpose that needs to be fulfilled because there's something out here that's not in harmony. A problem is simply harmony has been lost for a while. And I'm not talking fake harmony, I'm talking the harmony that sustains this universe. And I am proud to be a member.
What do you mean by fake harmony?
Well, we sort of create utopian, how everything is, we create a cocoon, but it's not really what's happening. We're not facing what's happening. But underneath everything, there is otherwise birth could not take place. There is a certain harmony in this universe that's real. That's the harmony I'm in love with. So divergence, you diverge. The more you diverge, you give space to diversity. So we are 130 people, we definitely have many different opinions, and we begin to talk with each other, and something diverges. Get it? So divergence. Then at one point, we come into what we sometimes call the groan zone. I don't quite get this. How am I going to use this? You mean I'm going to go home and put everybody in a circle and, ask if they will hold a talking piece and, ask them weird questions and, we have never done this before. And you begin to think, should I leave? What am I going to get here? Groaning. It's the beginning of real learning. Your worldview is shifting a little bit. But it's confusion. You meet your own confusion. Maybe even your fear. You're trembling. Hey, you mean I'm actually going to go do this? I'm not going to hire a consultant to come do it. Well, it's your choice. It's like we're not trying to, what's it called? There's no membership here. So groaning happens in us, and it can also happen collectively, you know. In the beginning, I was really scared of this. Now it's like people say, I'm really confused. And I will bow to them and say, oh, welcome. Learning is beginning. Learning is beginning to happen, you know. Because the confusion is that we are losing our meaning. You know what T.S. Eliot, I think I'm beginning to understand one of his poems. I don't know if you guys read T.S. Eliot in your youth. We did in high school in English. And I never understood this. Something there is that doesn't like a wall. Something there is that doesn't like a wall. It's like a Zen koan. And then he goes on and he says, hell is where nothing connects. So confusion is when you lose your connectivity, you don't get it anymore. But it is a healthy place to stay for a while, but not to live. You know, if we don't get confusion, or out of confusion, we don't get to experience this beautiful action called clarity. You know something. You are willing to stand on it, and you will act from it. So that's what can happen in this emergent phase. I get it a little bit. You get to sit with 3 other people, and they say what they learned yesterday, and they're getting something, and I get something from what they're saying, and a little bit maybe, and you begin to move through the grown zone. And then in the end of it, it becomes emergent. Something new arises. It could be a clarity, it could be a decision, it could be, hey, maybe we could work together. Or, you know, connections begin. We come out of hell and begin to, you know, I don't know if heaven is where everything connects, but well, could be, who knows. We come out of our unconsciousness and become a little bit more conscious. And I think it is in that place we can see the human being in ourselves and in each other. And whoopty, common unity begins to arise. Not the concept of community. Oh, we all have to be together about everything. That is an illusion, friends. We are born alone, and we travel, and we die alone. But it doesn't mean we can't have friends along the way. Good company along the way. But do I dare live with my aloneness? And knowing I'm not lonely because there's life right there. Every breath is a gift. So this is what I experience in this place. Groaning. And when we begin to love the groaning, it's like, great, I'm being worked with. It's like those of us who practice, like we throw each other around. And I say, give me more, you know. Why? Because you're practicing. I'm not afraid that, you know, 127 people from out of Halifax, we've never done it before. Take that. Why not? And Bob said, maybe we're just preparing for the 500. So there's a certain thing that can happen where I love to be in the newness. But it's nice to have good friends as you do it. All right? Then when this clarity begins to arise for you, I have some clarity, you have some clarity, more have some clarity, suddenly we begin to see maybe we could make a network in Nova Scotia where people who are, and it's a network of mates, networks of people who trust that we can be alone, we can be together. And, you know, I'm just using Michael's idea from yesterday. It could be anything. We may be able to, my friend Lotte Darce, who has studied innovation in Novo Nordisk, one of the biggest medicinal production companies in the world. It's in Denmark. She worked in the innovation department. She did her PhD, and she gives this another name that might make it more down to earth in your day-to-day. She calls this the project phase. Project phase. The convergence is the project phase. This is the project phase. And I think that's a gift. Before the project. Right now it's like, everybody's wanting to control. Let's convert so you can, you know, have people can evaluate you. and say, you acted a lot. But did you just slash a whole lot of things? I actually don't think we need to change a lot of structures. If we would simply change what we practice every day with ourselves and each other, maybe all of those structures would be fine. To me, this is the biggest realization I've had in the last 2 decades. Phil and I and Monica are really in this deep inquiry that maybe all of those hierarchies and all of those systems are pretty okay. We just don't know to work in them harmoniously and let the living system. It's not what revolutions have been is hierarchy. You have the grassroots, they kill the hierarchy, and then 20 years later or 2 years later or 15 years later, they have become worse. But what if we would change what we practice? How we meet? That we are willing to let some divergence take place so the newness can come in. We are willing to be in the uncomfortness of traveling through what we know and into a new seeing of the world a little bit more clear and give birth. If we have been part of giving birth, we will love those kids. If we've been part of having the pain of it, because here is the creative space of learning. You could put the chaotic chaos and order right here. And this is the chaotic space that was taught yesterday. Make sense? What drives this is be sure to have some clarity of the need and purpose, and the hosting is to create a container for this to happen in a good way. If there was no womb, excuse me lady, no, not excuse me, but you have been given the gift of container in which a seed can be planted and be protected. And then something completely new comes out. Bertram, my grandchild, and now the woman, my daughter-in-law, is pregnant again. I don't know who she is or who he is. I've seen he's 12 months down the line. I can see something. And I don't know what's going to come out. I'm excited. So this is how I work with process. Tomorrow Tim and I will teach this, and we call it the 6 breaths. But this is the basic of it, and we wanted you to have this little pattern.